to Mets Baseball 86, brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. For all you do, this Bud's for you. By manufacturers Hanover Trust, we realize your potential. By Nissan, who invite you to test drive the totally new 1987 Nissan Stanza at your Nissan dealer now. By Burger King, home of the Double Deluxe. Burger King, we know how burgers should be. By the good Olds guys, New York, New Jersey, Southern Connecticut Oldsmobile dealers. By Purolator Courier, the name to remember in Overnight Express. By Ivory, there's a pure, natural kind of clean when you lather up with Ivory. And by Metropolitan Life and affiliated companies, a leader in insurance and financial services. Live from Shea Stadium in New York, WOR-TV presents New York Mets baseball as tonight, the Mets take on the Montreal Expos. Pitching for the Expos tonight, right-hander Floyd Yeomans, who is 10-6 on the year with an ERA of 3.78. And on the mound for the Mets, it's the doctor, right-handed Dwight Gooden, 10-4 with an ERA of 2.97.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Shea Stadium on this very, very nice evening here. I think we're going to see a real fine ball game tonight. We have Dwight Gooden going against Floyd Yeomans, and the Montreal Expos are in a situation right now where, after starting this season off, not being expected to win, competing for a while, and then the Mets taking off, right now they're 15.5 games behind the New York Mets. And if there's ever been a must part of a season for a ball club right now, you're looking at it. If the Montreal Expos don't sweep this series, they're going to have a very difficult time having anything to salvage in 1986. Now I'm going to throw it down to my colleague, Tim McCarver.
All right, Rusty, thanks very much. You know, about 7 years ago at Hillsborough High in Tampa, two youngsters were on the same pitching staff. Floyd Yeomans, a year ahead of Dwight Gooden. And tonight they'll be opposing each other for the third time this year. Dwight Gooden, 10-4 on the year with a 2.97 ERA. Rather alarming because that ERA is close to 3, as Gooden has been in a long, long time. Floyd Yeomans, on the other hand, one of the really rising young stars in the National League, only 22 years old. He's 10-6 on the year, but in his last 10 starts, he has a 1-hitter, a 2-hitter, and a 3-hitter, and on 2 occasions has struck out more than 11. It really should be interesting as these two young bucks lock horns for the third time this year. And the guy who put the Mets together is waiting right now with Steve Zabriskie, and it's Frank Cashin. Let's go to Steve, huh?
Thanks, Tim, and hi, everybody. Well, the Mets have reacquired Lee Mazzilli, once the darling of Shea Stadium, and a fellow who spent his first 6 big league seasons with the New York Mets up through 1981 is back in a Mets uniform. It is at Tidewater, however, and the announcement was made today by Mets general manager Frank Cashin.
Well, we announced today this morning that Maz is coming back with the New York Mets. He has agreed to go to Tidewater. He's going to go down there and work for 2-3 weeks, trying to get his timing back on a hit from the left and the right side, take a lot of ground balls, and we think, I personally am delighted to have him back with the ball club.
You're anticipating then that he will be with the big club soon?
I don't, I didn't make any promises. I don't anticipate that he will be here. I don't anticipate that he won't be here. He'll certainly be up by September 1st, but whether or not he'll be up before then depends upon a lot of other things, like if somebody gets hurt, if we have a need, that kind of thing.
Mazzilli is not only a native New Yorker and a .262 lifetime hitter, but it has been his desire over his seasons in Pittsburgh particularly to return to the New York Mets. And as Maz put it in making the announcement of the contract himself, sometimes you have to take 1 step backward to take 2 steps forward, and he's hoping that that big step back to the major leagues will be forthcoming. And we'll be back with the start of this one between the first place Mets and the second place Expos after this word from Budweiser.
1839, when Abner Doubleday designed this great game of baseball, he was thinking about nights like this. It is a glorious evening for baseball. Low humidity, about 70. Dwight Gooden against Floyd Yeomans, two of the finest young pitchers in the major leagues. Defensively for the New York Mets, Keith Hernandez at first base. Wally Backman, the second baseman. At shortstop, Rafael Santana. Ray Knight, who won the job in spring training, is at third. In left field in his 5th start, Kevin Mitchell. And the very, very popular Lynn Dykstra in center. Darryl Strawberry with that new hairdo, or lack thereof, in right field. Gary Carter behind the plate. And on the mound, Dwight Gooden. Dwight with a record of 10-4, a 2.97 ERA, 107 strikeouts. He's pitched 148 innings. And he's given up 2 more earned runs than he did all of last year so far this year. So Dwight Gooden against Floyd Yeomans.
And for the Montreal Expos, Tim Raines will lead off playing left field. Hitting second and center field is Mitch Webster. Third, Andre Dawson playing right field. Ex-Met UB Brooks at shortstop. That's cleanup for the Expos. Tim Wallach at third base. Wayne Krenchicki hitting 6th at first base. Wayne Krenchicki's been playing first base very regularly lately. Mike Fitzgerald coming off a little knee injury, back behind the plate for the Expos. Catching, hitting 7th. And Tom Foley, just acquired from the Phillies, with Larry Sorensen for Dan Schatzeder and Skeeter Barnes. He's hitting 8th and playing short. And Floyd Yeomans is pitching and batting 9th.
And the umpires for this evening's game, Billy Williams behind the plate, Joe West over at first, Frank Pulley from Easton, PA at second, and Larry Poncino, the rookie, down at third base. And as Rusty Staub will attest, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and WOR-TV and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WOR-TV is prohibited. Timmy Raines will lead it off for the Expos. The Expos 4-2 against the Mets this year. They are the only team in the National League with a winning record against New York. Raines batting .338, second in the National League in hitting, to his teammate Hubie Brooks, who's at .339. First pitch of the ball game in this 3-game series is fouled away, 0-1.
Jimmy, there's got to be a lot of excitement in these dugouts right now. I think each club realizes that this is an important series, and if one team or the other can sweep, or if the Expos don't sweep, there's a lot to do with the end of this 1986 season for both clubs on the line right now.
Yeah, the Mets could very well end the thing if they sweep the Expos 3 games in a row. High fastball, 0-2 to Tim Raines. Gooden, 51-17 lifetime. He's 2-2 lifetime against Montreal. High fastball, 1-2 to Raines.
Well, after the last 3 or 4 days of solid rain, Timmy, it's really nice to see this stadium filled like it is.
Gorgeous.
And to see a gorgeous night out here.
Whew. Saw Mitch Webster, the on-deck batter. Breaking ball in the dirt. So it's 2-2 to Dwight Gooden. Raines from Sanford, Florida. Interesting story about his wife, Virginia. She was also on the track team in high school, a very, very fine athlete herself. Proper genes in that couple, right?
I know his son's got to be able to haul.
Breaking ball outside, 3-2 to Tim Raines.
This is one of the things that seems to have been plaguing Dwight Gooden so far this year. Getting ahead of the hitters, getting off to a good start in ball games.
Early wildness. Here's his former teammate, Hubie Brooks. And Raines fouls it back.
Pitching coach Mel Stottlemyre has been working very diligently with Dwight. They've worked on a few different things with his mechanics. As you look at Jeff Reardon,
former Met. We're going to talk about exactly what Mel Stottlemyre worked on through these first couple innings. No better time than now. More the stride, wasn't it, Russ?
Well, I think that there was a few things they were looking at, Tim. They felt he wasn't picking his leg up high enough, and he wasn't striding as long as he was. You know, there's so many things you try to go at mechanically when someone's struggling.
Raines didn't want to, but he may have held up and made contact on ball 4. Still 3-2.
Well, we're going to take a look at this pitch right here. You can see Dwight Gooden throw a hard fastball up. Raines tries to hold up on a pitch that is obviously ball 4. Makes contact, and instead of getting a walk, is 3-2 and going at him again.
He's walked 34 times in his last 80 ball games. Fouls another one away.
I think the biggest thing, Timmy, that Dwight has to do is to just relax and not think about all those mechanical things right now. You get to worrying too much. You know, you can work in the bullpen, you can work on your off days on different things mechanically, but when you're out there on the mound right now, you've just got to pitch. You've got to go with the best you've got and just let everything flow.
Fastball is low, so Raines is on there. And for Raines, that is walk number 46 on the year. So he obviously a threat to run. He has stolen 45 bases. He's been caught only 5 times this year, 3 times by the catcher. I couldn't agree with you more about all those mechanical things. It's like a hitter getting in, going out and taking extra hitting, and have a hitting coach tell him about his hands, his hips, his knee, his legs, his shoulder, and going in there and thinking about that. And you do everything right but swing the bat, right?
Yeah, you want to take and ball, all kinds of pitches. You're behind. Instead of being aggressive at the plate, just like with a pitcher, if you're tentative, you're just not going to be as good as you can be. You have to be aggressive in this game to succeed. And if you're thinking about something while you're performing, you're just not going to get it down right.
Raines had an idea about running, and by diving back, Hernandez with that tag, Raines looked to be writhing in pain.
Shaking his right hand a little bit.
Nobody out. Raines at first base. Mitch Webster, the batter. He's batting .284. Pitch out. Nothing doing.
Gary Carter is well aware, having played so many years with Tim Raines, that his success ratio is so good that his only real chance of getting him in all probability is to have a pitch out.
Raines has been caught only 32 times out of 500 lifetime attempts.
He makes it an overmatch.
That's caught by the catcher, excuse me. 436 lifetime stolen bases. It's 1-0 to Mitch Webster.
Well, Timmy, he's not getting that big a lead at first base. It's just raw speed that he uses most of the time. He does not have a big lead.
He's not running, and the fastball is high. 2-0.
It'll be interesting to see if he creeps off a little further, whether he goes or not.
Gary Carter, one of the catchers that has nailed Raines this year, but it was on an overslide of second base in Montreal, the first trip up there. There's that high fastball, and if hitters swing at that against Gooden, they'll go back hungry, won't they?
I think they will, Tim. Mitch Webster, formerly of the Blue Jays, has done a marvelous job for the Montreal Expos. Not only is he helped them on the bases and in the outfield with his speed, but he's hit with some power.
Has 5 home runs, 21 doubles, and 4 triples. Little broken bat base hit left center. Raines will go to third. Mitchell had an idea about throwing to third, but Raines in there easily. The first hit of the ball game, and the Expos with runners at first and third and nobody out.
It's a fastball that Gooden jams Webster with. He just flails one into left field. And even though Mitch had kind of a... There's Timmy Raines. He can see, you see him right now. He knows he's got third base.
No need of the third base coach at all, right? When the play's in front of you, the base runner uses his own judgment.
And Kevin Mitchell made the right play going to second base, because he would have had no chance going to third base to get him, and he at least kept a double play alive in this situation.
Webster also a threat to run. He has stolen 25. He's been caught 9 times, and Andre Dawson the batter. Dawson on the disabled list back on June 5th, the first time of his career. And since returning in the last month, he has hit only 2 home runs, 14 on the year. Swing and a miss, 0-1.
I was talking to Dave Van Horn before the game, and he said that during the month of July, the Expos have really struggled tremendously. We all know that. But he says Andre Dawson has really, really struggled. Even though he has been able to keep his batting average up a little bit, he has really not driven in very many runs, and he has not really produced anything but a couple of home runs during the whole month of July.
When he was disabled, he was batting over 300, hitting 268 now. Another throw to first. Dawson on the last year of his contract. It'll be interesting to see what happens after this year with the Expos. Check swing, foul ball, 0-2. Those are the Expos 4 games over on the road. And if you'll remember, the Expos dominated at their home park for about 5 or 6 straight years, from the late 70s to 1983. Hubie Brooks on deck.
They've seemed to be a little flat there. I think the poor attendance may have actually affected them a little bit. It hasn't been exciting for them to play at home.
Inside fastball. Dawson holds up, 1-2.
And Tim, not only is Andre Dawson in the last year of his contract, so is Tim Raines. And the Montreal Expos, without Tim Raines and Andre Dawson, just doesn't sound right. And I'll tell you, they're going to really have to work it out. If they don't sign Tim Raines, there's no telling what's going to happen to the Montreal Expos.
He is certainly the buoy of that franchise. There goes Webster. Fastball fouled away, sharply back up into the stands.
And there you saw something that Andre Dawson does not do a lot, but I guess because he has been struggling, he's trying to make a little contact. Normally he doesn't shorten up on his swing, but with a count 3-2, no one out, he tried to move that ball to right field.
Dawson vulnerable outside with 2 strikes. We'll see how Gooden and Carter go with it. Looks like they're staying inside. And that fake break as a pitcher goes to third, steps off, and then fakes to first base. Unsuccessful as it often is.
I haven't seen that one work too often, but it does let them know that you got it.
Good cut. He fouls it away.
And so far, the Expos have been able to, in these 2-strike situations, they've been fouling off some very good pitches of Dwight Gooden's. Fastballs up. Tim Raines fouled a couple of tough ones off.
There's Davey Johnson, Mel Stottlemyre. Andre Dawson, who had the first home run hit off Dwight Gooden in the major leagues back in 1984. Webster's safe at first. Runners at first and third. No score, just underway here at Shea on a glorious evening.
Timmy, as often as balks have been called this year for things that's hardly even visible to see, it's almost dangerous with a man on third base to try to get somebody at first.
Good point. Gooden has balked twice. Breaking ball in the dirt. So it's 2-2 to Andre Dawson. Well, the celebrated trade that brought Gary Carter to the Mets for Mike Fitzgerald, Herm Winningham, Hubie Brooks, and of course Floyd Yeomans. 3 of those players in the lineup tonight for the Expos.
Seems like every time the Dwight Gooden's on the mound or they play the New York Mets, they kind of work their way in there. In fact, I almost think they were going to bring Herm Winningham back up to try to start him.
Herm Winningham started 2 games this year against the Mets with the other 3. So it's 2-2 to Andre Dawson.
They're definitely making Dwight Gooden work for it in this first inning. That's another good fastball up that Dawson fouled off.
Gooden has struck out 10 or more 29 times in his career, 3 times this year. breaking ball is ball 3. 3-2 to Andre Dawson. Look for Mitch Webster to run. The Expos 3 games over 500 at this point last year. They were 13 games over 500. There goes Webster. Fastball line to right field. Deep is Strawberry. Raines is tagging. Strawberry to second. Raines scores. Sacrifice fly for Dawson, and the Expos up 1-0.
The fastball out over the plate. Dawson makes some contact. Hits it deep into the Strawberry, and Straw makes a good play here because he's not going to throw Tim Raines out at home plate. Keep the double play alive.
And the batter, Hubie Brooks. Hubie leading the National League in hitting. A .339 average, the last shortstop to do that, Dick Grote, back in 1960 for the Pirates. Dick hit .325 that year as Webster back. MVP of the Bucks that year. World champion Pittsburgh Pirates of 60 beat the Yankees in 7 games.
I saw the first 2 games of that series, Timmy.
Fastball high to Brooks.
My American Legion team that year won the Little World Series, and as a gift, we got to see the first 2 games of the series in Forbes Field. And I saw the Pirates play a real fine game, a lot of hitting and running and moving the runners and stuff. And then the second game, the Yankees bombed them out. It was 2 of the more exciting days of my life at that time.
I should say. Webster not running, and the curveball is high, 2-0. The Yankees in that series blew out the Pittsburgh Pirates in the only 3 games they won. The scores 16-1, 11-2, and 12-3, or something to that effect.
They set all the records. They just forgot to win the 4th game.
That's right.
Bill Mazeroski hit that great home run.
Line foul, 2-1 to Brooks.
Hubie Brooks just got back in the lineup himself on Wednesday night. He got a couple of hits in the game, but he's been struggling with his hands. He's had some problems.
Missed 8 games with that hand injury of his. The Expos 4-14 with Brooks out of the lineup. Fastball on the corner, 2-2. Big pitch there. Big pitch because if you fall 3-1 with Brooks, a guy like that, he is doubly dangerous when he's ahead.
That is right on the corner. That is an outstanding pitch by Dwight Gooden. And especially as much as he has been struggling in these early innings, he needs to get some people out here right now for his own good.
Run at first. Webster dives back just in time. He was leaning then.
Yes, he was. You're going to see the tag by Keith Hernandez. That hand just gets in ahead of him. Game of inches and milliseconds.
Nice word with Webster on first base. Got him. And the word is out. O-U-T. 2 outs here in the first inning.
Well, Mitch Webster obviously feels he was back in there. We're going to get a little shot of it here now. White makes a good turn to first. And it's close. I don't think you can see. We may be able to see it right here. Oh, Hansen's right in the way.
Hansen's in the way of the hand, but Joe West with a good look calls Webster out. So now 2 out, nobody on. Considerably different. Breaking ball, line foul, and that's why Hubie Brooks is leading the league in hitting. That is a nasty pitch right there.
That certainly was. He just has that knack. He's got that late quickness in his hands if he's fooled, where he seems to just make contact, and not only make contact, but hit the ball hard even when he's fooled.
Tough curveball by Gooden. Hubie Brooks stays alive. Still 2-2. Montreal on top, 1-0. Swing and a miss, got him. Strikeout number 1 for Gooden. But the Expos on the board. 1 run on 1 hit. Nobody left. So after 1/2 inning of play, it's 1-0 Montreal. We go to the middle of the first right after this word from the good old Skies. Channel 9 News team for the latest news, weather, and sports. It's all on a special late edition of News 9 prime time immediately after Kiner's Corner.
And here's the Met lineup. Leading off at center field, Lenny Dykstra. Hitting second, Wally Backman. At second base, third, Keith Hernandez at first base. And cleanup is Gary Carter behind the plate. Darryl Strawberry in right field, batting fifth. Kevin Mitchell in left field, batting sixth. Ray Knight at third base, batting seventh. In the eighth slot, Rafael Santana at shortstop. And pitching and hitting night, Dwight Gooden.
And his opponent, an old school chum, or a young school chum, 22-year-old Floyd Yeomans. There are his numbers on the year. He's 1-0 against the Mets this year, 2-0 career versus New York. And this is the third time that he has been matched up with his old buddy. Defensively, left to right in the outfield, Raines, Webster, and Dawson. Tim Wallach, Hubie Brooks, Tom Foley, Wayne Krenchicki at first. Mike Fitzgerald, the ex-Met, behind the plate, and Floyd Yeomans on the mound. The Expos lead at 1-0 in the first batter, Len Dykstra.
Timmy, Floyd Yeomans finished his career in high school at Fontana High School in California. He fanned 200 batters in 141 innings, and he also hit 407. His first two seasons were in Tampa at Hillsborough with Dwight.
Moved out to Fontana, California after his sophomore year. Fastball for a strike. 0-1 to Dykstra. Wallach at third, in on the grass. I mean, way in. It's tough to lay one down that direction. Change-up is low, 1-1.
And they're doing the one thing to offset the bunt that I think is not done enough, Timmy. The second baseman is playing in a little shallow. Normally to bring the first baseman in too far, and the second baseman's deep. And he's the key to getting that guy that's a good drag bunter that's going to pull it towards second base.
That's the seam to which a hitter like Dykstra tries to go. That seam actually right at the second baseman.
That's always been one of my pet peeves, that they've always had the second baseman too deep.
Well, a deep count on Dykstra, 3-1. What a July Len Dykstra had. He batted .357, 9 doubles, 2 triples, 3 home runs, 15 RBIs for a leadoff hitter, and he's on base again. Fields and takes it himself. An easy inning for Eckersley as the Mets go in order. And after one, it's 3-0 Chicago. We'll go to the second after this word from Burger King.
Ebbets Field, as you look at those umpires, the umpire on the right is Lou Jorda, the umpire in the center is Beans Reardon, and the umpire on the left is Larry Getz. And it's rain delay at Ebbets Field with the Pittsburgh Pirates playing the Brooklyn Dodgers, and Norman Rockwell came to my house to get my uniform so that he could duplicate the uniform perfectly in the painting. And that original painting is hanging at Cooperstown in the Hall of Fame.
With your uniform in the background, or the painting of your uniform in the background?
Right.
Series atmosphere, and I think it has one right now.
Spurred on by Carter's dramatic homer, the Mets charged ahead, embarking on a wave of one-run wins.
Here comes Mookie. He makes a great diving catch.
Well hit to left field. Back goes Cedeno. Home run. Gary Carter hits another one.
Way back. This ball might be out of here. Home run, Darryl Strawberry, and the Mets win their 4th consecutive one-run ball game. Oh, baby.
If everything was okay for the Mets after 4 games, things were even better after 5, as Dwight Gooden struck out 10 Reds to give the Mets their 5th straight win at home. All that winning was good news for the Mets field general, Davy Johnson, who proved to be a respected teacher and brilliant tactician in just his 2nd year with the Mets. For that, Johnson was rewarded with a new 3-year contract at the end of a year that saw his leadership and mettle tested often, including a memorable game against the Pirates in late April.
And it's out to deep left field, way back. A grand slam home run.
Strawberry's first inning grand slammer was only the beginning of a remarkable day.
Breaking ball off of Carter's glove, the throw. Out at home. What a play by Jesse Orozco and Gary Carter.
While the battle raged on, Johnson plotted a strategy, which included moving Rusty Staub around the outfield to keep him out of the line of fire. Well, almost.
Rusty Staub over there, and he makes the catch. Rusty Staub.
Staub's catch was only one highlight of the Mets' 18-inning win that day. But from then on, fortunes turned sour as injuries hit the Mets hard. Bruce Bereni, who had figured to be the Mets' 3rd starter, was lost for the season with an injured shoulder, while Darryl Strawberry went down for a ball in early May and missed 7 weeks with a damaged thumb. Then there was Mookie Wilson, whose shoulder injury kept him in and out of the lineup for months, and rookie Roger McDowell, who hobbled around for 2 weeks on an injured ankle, compounding the Mets' most troubled time of the year.
I was lost, double-crossed, with my hands behind my back. I was long-time hurt and thrown in the dirt. Shoved out on the railroad track. I've been used, abused, and so confused. And I didn't have nowhere to run.
On June 11th, the Mets really ran into trouble when they found themselves ambushed in Philadelphia. And when the game was over, there was no escaping the reality of the Mets' worst defeat ever.
Oh, here's another shot. Where's this going to wind up? Now, right on out of here, a grand slam home run. His 2nd homer of the inning.
You talk about a picture saying 1,000 words. What a long night for Davy Johnson and the Mets.
And a record-setting game comes to a conclusion.
Dateline, New York, where everyone's wondering if the Mets can come back from that bombardment in Philly. We'll know soon enough. With fresh troops on the way, the Mets are hoping to turn things around. Up from the minors, there's speedy Lenny Dykstra, who's helping out with Mookie Wilson hurt. On the pitcher's mound, Ed Lynch, back as a starter, has 6 straight wins. And here's Danny Heath, who's hitting homers and filling in for Darryl Strawberry in right. Yes, folks, the dream is still alive in Queens, thanks to shortstop Rafael Santana, who's on his way to playing the most games as a Mets shortstop since the legendary Bud Harrelson. And second baseman Little Wally Backman, who has turned himself into one of the game's best defensive players. The Mets have regrouped. Yes, folks, they are indeed back in the race.
For the Mets, back in the race meant a crucial mid-June meeting with the Chicago Cubs, and a rivalry that by now had taken on all the characteristics of something from another sport.
It's almost like a championship fight.
Out for the first, atmosphere's heavy. World title lays on the line. Strong and proud, he is much older. I'm the faster, I'm in my prime. 3rd round late, he starts to tire. Open cut over his left eye. Smelling blood, attack is relentless. In the box seats, I see his girl cry. Crying, no mercy, no quarter, no place to hide from the other man. Left and right's never came in order. No mercy, take it while you can now. No mercy, take it while you can. Take it up, take it up.
Swing and a missing, got him with the fastball.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ow.
Oh, hit well to right center field. Way back. This ball is out of here. Grand slam home run, George Foster.
The Mets did indeed show the Cubs no mercy in their 4-game sweep, and a record 4-game series crowd of over 172,000 people were there to see it. The Mets were winning, and the fans were having fun, dancing to the Curly Shuffle, the team's good luck charm throughout the year.
When me and my friends go out in the town, we can't sit still, we can't sit down. We don't like to fight and we don't like to scuffle, but we dance all night doing the Curly Shuffle. Hey Mo, hey Mo, hey Mo, hey Mo. Well, yuck, 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 yuck. No, we never miss a chance. We get up and dance and do the Curly Shuffle.
While their fans shuffled, the Mets continued their march to first place in Atlanta with the Star-Spangled Extravaganza that began on July 4th, but didn't finish until July 5th. Thanks to Howard Johnson's 2-run homer, the Mets took the lead in the top of the 13th, but they quickly blew that one, and then another with 2 outs in the 18th.
And he is at the deep left. Heath goes back. It is gone. Holy cow. Oh, my goodness. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Rick Kemp. Rick Kemp. That certifies this game as the wackiest, wildest, most improbable game in history.
Just when everyone must have been wondering if they were trapped in a bad dream, the Mets rallied to take the lead for good with 5 runs in the top of the 19th, and then hung on down the stretch as Ron Darling made the first relief appearance of his career to cap off a 16-13 Met win at 5-4 in the morning. The Mets' longest night was not only a morale booster for the entire team, it was also a personal showcase for Keith Hernandez, who hit for the cycle and continued on to be named the National League's Player of the Month in July. After a slow start, Keith finished the year with an average of .309 and a Major League record 24 game-winning RBI. There was no other way to put it. When the game was on the line, Keith was a warrior.
You talk to me. Your eyes touch me physically. Stay with me, we'll take the night as passion takes another bite. Oh, who's the hunter? Who's the game? I feel the beat, call your name. I'll hold you close in victory. I don't wanna tame your animal style. You won't be caged from the cold wire. Shooting at the walls of heartache. Bang, bang, I am the warrior. Well, I am the warrior. And heart to win. If you survive, the warrior. The warrior.
Once again, in 1985, Keith also excelled in the field and won his 8th straight Gold Glove Award to cap off a typical Hernandez year.
Metstone News. Dateline, Minnesota, where it's time for baseball to call a ceasefire to the pennant wars. This year's side of the All-Star game, the Metrodome, and the Mets are well represented. Gary Carter is injured, but pitcher Ron Darling is here. And so, of course, is the incomparable Dwight Gooden. Then there's Darryl Strawberry, the National League starting right fielder, who singles in the first inning. And much to the delight of Met fans young and old, Strawberry steals second and helps the Nationals win yet again.
With the color and excitement now back, the Mets welcome the healing of Darryl Strawberry's thumb and his return to everyday play. After the All-Star break, Strawberry came on to hit 21 of his career-high 29 home runs and gave Met fans a taste of just how many he might have hit if he'd been healthy when he homered 3 times in a game against the Cubs on August 5th.
Here's Strawberry along the drive, way back, another one! Holy cow! His 3rd home run of the day, and they're waving the flag of surrender.
In 1985, opposing teams waved the flag of surrender when it came to the Mets pitching staff. One reason was Ron Darling, who matured tremendously in just his 2nd full major league season. On the year, Darling established several career highs, including 16 wins and 167 strikeouts, while losing only 6 times. A big hand, too, for some other Mets starters, like Sid Fernandez, who struck out 180 batters in just 170 innings and won 9 times after coming up to the Mets in May. And just when it looked like the Mets pitching had gone to the dogs, rookie right-hander Rick Aguilera came up from the minors to win his first game on June 12th and finished with 10 big wins and an ERA of 3.24. Flexibility was a Met trademark out of the bullpen in '85. Rookie Roger McDowell was sensational as both a long relief man and a stopper, as he won 6 games and saved 17. Fortunately for the Mets, McDowell wasn't the only first-rate pitcher they had in the bullpen. Jesse Orozco tied McDowell for the team lead in saves with 17 of his own and pitched in with 8 wins as well. However, there was little the pitching staff could do to match the excitement generated by Dwight Gooden, who was without a doubt the most awesome weapon in the Mets pitching arsenal. Gooden led the league in 6 pitching categories, including wins with 24, strikeouts with 268, and an ERA of 1.53. At one point, Dwight went 3 months and 14 straight wins without a loss and became the youngest pitcher ever to win 20 games. Simply put, every time Gooden pitched, everyone stopped to watch.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Breaking ball, see you later.
What a field day for the Heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and a carrying signs. Mostly say hooray for our side. It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop now. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop.
Somewhere over the great United States of America, the Mets hit the coast and mount a major offensive which they hope will lead them to the pennant. First stop on the West Coast swing takes us clear across the country to the city by the bay, San Francisco. where Mets first baseman Keith Hernandez hits a pinch hit homer with 1 out in the 9th inning to give the Mets a come-from-behind 4-3 win. Those are some happy ball players. Next stop, down the beautiful Pacific coast to sunny San Diego, where Gary Carter hits 5 homers in 2 days, including 3 in 1 game alone, and drives in 10 runs as the Mets sweep a 3-game series. From San Diego, it's just a short hop to Los Angeles, where Mookie Wilson returns to the lineup and hits a game-winning extra-inning homer to keep the Mets right in the thick of the Eastern Division race.
One reason why the Mets stayed in the race was Gary Carter. Playing with various injuries throughout the year, Carter still managed to hit a career-high 32 homers and became only the 2nd Met ever to drive in 100 runs. But it was down the stretch that Gary really proved his worth to the Mets when he was named the National League's Player of the Month for September and showed over and over that there was no messing with the kid.
Greetings from New York City! What's this I hear? There's a whole lot of talk.